Now we have 20 minutes for discussion.
For speakers, please come up to the stage.
So may I have the slides? So today we have several keywords such as data sharing, translational medicine science, and open innovation. Maybe by data sharing or utilizing big data, we may accelerate reverse translational research from bedside to bench. So I would like to have the comments maybe from Professor Suematsu.
Very briefly, thank you very much. So in order to facilitate the data sharing, we really need mutual trust. And the mutual trust is the keyword of this symposium, actually. That's all. And as a funding agency, we are always emphasizing the concept, no data sharing, no budget. And this is very clear. And we are making up a new data sharing policy. And based on the contract, we will do this concept.
Thank you very much. About this, may I have the comments from Dr. Fitzgerald?
Yes, I think this is a wonderful initiative. I think transparency is a theme that is the other side of the data sharing coin, and I think it surfaced in many of the talks with respect to many of the aspects of the process.
So also, I think open innovation is a key strategy for future drug development, but we realize there are several struggles, obstacles to succeed open innovation. So what is the major obstacles for us? May I have the comments from Dr. Teshirogi?
Yeah, I think I clearly explained the, our viewpoints as an industry. And we as an industry group talked many times what we could do better in leading the open collaboration success. I think money is one thing, obviously, but at the same time, almost the coordinator of the project, the project coordinator, is so crucial. And I think Dr. Suematsu is the facilitating the people's the interaction. Some ex-industry people joined AMED a lot. Even some people graduated from AMED, rejoined the industry type thing. I think really important to everybody recognizes the importance of the people's accumulating more experiences. Wearing the different hats.
Thank you. Dr. Meulien, may I have your comments?
Thank you. So, I mean, I think that what we try and create anyway within our project is a series of learning organizations, because I think although there are many challenges and there are also fantastic opportunities, I think we need to be in a very learning mode in some of these things. And I always say that, IMI is not for everyone and it's not for everything. But for certain things, it is probably one of the only ways to get to where we want to get. So I think the open innovation model can work, and once again, especially in these areas where there's a huge public health need. Maybe there are a few black boxes. I'm thinking, of course, of Alzheimer's disease, and where the competitive bar has been moved downstream. and where companies feel that they can share a lot more upstream in order to benefit the field, then they can compete downstream, much further downstream when the time comes.
We will take questions from the floor. Any questions from the floor? Yes, please. You have to go to the microphone.
Just to open it up a bit, target validation is also very crucial. And one of the things I loved about your aspects of looking at orphan diseases is if you do the calculations on the total number of human mutations de novo in people, and then multiply by 7 billion, the human race is actually making every non-lethal mutation possible in 200 to 300 people. And orphan diseases are therefore not only common, but totally widespread among all of us. And I'm going to present later on that many common diseases are actually molecular orphan diseases, which then converge on set points, which means you've got to take your target validation very differently. And I think it's a very useful thing that you're doing. And I just think we've got to really think that again. So it's Michael Spedding, Secretary of Value for. So it's something which I think is crucial. I've seen a lot of drugs fail, and some go through, and target validation needs to be rethought.
Thank you very much for your thoughtful comments. And the very important message is following, that we are not orphan. And we should collect all the information, and that makes the orphan disease not orphan. And that's why we really need a global data sharing. Thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you very much, Oliver from South Africa. Coming from an emerging economy continent, and I think we have other parts of the world of emerging economies. And we see the push for universal health coverage around the world, which is, I think, real challenge for access. How do we balance, and what is the advice if we look at academia, regulatory, in those environments that you could advise and guide us from a developed or strong economies? And how then these economies can contribute to this drug discovery and innovation? Maybe a symposium in itself.
Anybody answer the question? Anybody? Who dare to answer?
Well, obviously, the academia really does a lot of things for each economy. So even for the African, the countries, almost all the pharmaceutical companies, have the access either for the commercialization or the medical community. I think when I opened the Asian leadership, the Congress, what we're trying to deliver is at least have each country understand what each country is doing. Again, beginning from what they are doing actually. Not always mean each country should do this, but this is what the one step at a time approach. This is what we're doing. Therefore, I just want you to think about, is there anything we could help in facilitating the process? So if each continent, or in African case, and probably Europe may help in understanding the regulatory system as well. So I think academia-wise, you are able to contribute a lot. even from the industry perspective.
Any other questions or comment? Yes.
I have a short comment on the very interesting question from South Africa. Because so far as I remember, South Africa provided a very excellent clinical research paper versus the cost, cost performance, as compared with that in Japan. Japan spent huge money, but only few clinical research articles. And on the other hand, we need to insist on the national-wide health coverage cost. We cannot destroy this system. But in order to survive this, we really need a perfect open innovation based on the moonshot, which was mentioned by Mr. Teshirogi. At present moment, the previous funding system just support the very, very individual support for the individual researchers. But what is fundamentally lacking is the basic infrastructure as a nationwide, or forming the ecosystem in some core university hospitals whatsoever. And I think without such a moonshot visionary project, we cannot no longer survive. And another important thing for the Japanese researchers, so please, I'm very happy to be here because there are many, many foreign guests and investigators, and I really appreciate it if all the participants cooperate with us for English-based peer reviewing of the AMED funding. You know, we are still using, it's serious problem that we are still using a Japanese language. No way. And we really need our open innovation, and we really need English. That is the message. Yes.
Dr. Narumiya.
Mr. Teshirogi stressed on the importance of the basic research in academia, and no one doubt the importance of basic research. And Dr. Fitzgerald stressed on the importance of translation, the finding in the animal model to humans. And I think that medicine is now moving from the animal study to human biology, and this biology of humans. And I understand that direction of IMI to develop the human biology. So I wonder how successful is the initiative in terms of developing human biology or disease biology of humans, and how we can construct the biology from the limited human samples. First question to Pierre. How successful is your initiative in developing the human biology?
Well, thank you very much for the question. I thought it was going to be for some of my colleagues looking at this transition from animal models to human disease. So it's true, and I think we have to take maybe a bit of a case-by-case piece, but there are so many, I would say, the blockage points along the chain from the research to human use that we have to then dissect different things, and that human therapies for humans, the lack of some of them, and I'm thinking of, well, just take respiratory disease for an example, severe asthma or COPD, where the companies trying to build therapeutic pipelines on these diseases have been hampered because of failure, because the clinical trials have been designed in a certain way that haven't taken advantage maybe of what we know now in terms of potential patient stratification, which is built around the biology of human disease. But a lot of those findings have come from animal studies to be able to have hypotheses developed that then can be translated to human disease. So I think we're on a pathway. We can talk about some successes. I don't think in our portfolio, I can't give you one success of saying, well, because of this initiative, we have now a drug against Alzheimer or asthma or whatever. However, I think the degree of understanding that the community has on how to get there in some of these has been changed dramatically. And I think that pathway, it looks very different than it did a decade ago.
So if I just could join Pierre's comment, I think the game is changing completely. You know, we're used to looking for large average effects, and the tools and technologies to ask questions with more precision in human beings is increasing every day. And as people demand a more precise medicine, a more relevant medicine for them, and we understand that all these common diseases are collections of rare diseases with crude phenotypic collectives, we need to perform a much more sophisticated form of human biology and human pharmacology than currently we are equipped to do. And you can see the absence of those skill sets in academia, in industry, and in the regulatory bodies. So I think really investing in those skill sets and doing that across these sectors, and that's where I think people much more fluidly moving between industry and academia is a necessary part of this. But I think a crucial issue is upping our game in terms of the skill sets to ask questions in people rather than in mice. And if you take you know, a perfect poster child of personalized medicine, which is CAR T cells. CAR T cells made with your own cells can cure incurable diseases or kill you through a cytokine storm. So we need to know why, how, who, and predict these outcomes in a much more sophisticated way than we do at the moment. So that is actually not a segregation of basic science to academia and clinical trials to industry. That's just so passé. That's actually integrating across the sectors to try and understand the science of human biology as it pertains to drug development.
Yeah, thank you for your patience. Your question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Bernard Sogutu from Kenya. Just looking at the issue of data sharing, and I think one of the main contentious issues is about the data ownership, because I think once we share most of this data, and especially when one is disadvantaged that possibly you are from a resource-constrained setting, and maybe you are partly third or fourth party within the platform, how do you ensure you are being part of the table? And I think this is the same thing of when we talk about bringing on the table, having the pharma, the biotech, and the academia. Is the academia being brought on the table as a necessary partner or an equal partner? And I think these are some of the things that possibly makes things a bit more cagey when it comes to sharing the data, especially the genomic data that currently being collected across several countries, even in Africa. And there's a big agitation on who is going to own it and who is going to benefit from it at the end of the day. And how does the farmer ensure that there's a level playing ground that this is being done? And this also we are seeing now that we are setting up some of the human challenge platforms within Africa, how this is going to play into this in terms of the whole evaluation of molecules and possibly product development.
Although I do not fully understand what you are asking, actually, this is very difficult to answer. But when we think about global data sharing in genomics, you know, I'm sorry to say the Anglo-Saxon dominate everything right now. And actually, if we see the matchmaker exchange, this is one of the biggest clinical genomics database. Almost 80% of the data are coming from the Anglo-Saxon countries. And which also include the many ethnics. But I think the role of Asia and Africa is very important, I believe. And we are very encouraged by the discovery of the case matching between different ethnics, and which might save the rare disease patient and benefit each other. So I really would like to increase the successful cases one by one, and would like to collaborate with the other countries, including African countries. And another important thing is all the funding agency, irrespective of the nationality, we need to consider the establishment of the research infrastructure in the Africa and collaborate each other by many countries. And which actually discussed in one of the very interesting organizations, such as HERO, that is a heads of international research organization, and we always invite the African representative of the life sciences and discuss about how we can help the infrastructure for African countries.
Yeah, thank you for your discussion. May I have the last slide, please? So next slide. So finally, I would like to quote George Bernard Shaw. If you have an apple and I have an apple and we exchange these apples, then you and I will still each have one apple. But if you have an idea and I have an idea and we exchange these ideas, then each of us will have two ideas. I think this shows the importance of data sharing. And we are sure that WCP 2018 will provide us an excellent opportunity to exchange ideas and bring many ideas to your home. So I would like to extend my most sincere thanks to our guest speakers. And also I would like to thank you all for your participation. Now we would like to close this opening symposium. Thank you very much.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.